Hello and welcome to my channel. Recently, I saw a post on Facebook and I think it needs attention. Someone responded to it. Please, this isn't from me, but things like these are things that need to be settled so we can move on. Someone condemned Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's approach to Biafra. That's the one I will read first. Another person replied to the person in voice notes. I believe we will learn one or two things from the whole story. Remember, none of these are my opinion. I'm just trying to let you see what some people are thinking. The article is by one Eze Kolomo, Igbo conscious thinker. I will read the article now. Remember, I said it's not by me. But things like this are for learning. There's a lot to learn. Now, he actually criticizes Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. I'm not supporting him and I'm not disapproving him. I will read what he wrote. Then I will also play to you the reply by Milo's Corner. Now I read what he wrote. He says, 5 major mistakes of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. So his article argues that while many Igbos regard Nnamdi Kanu as a freedom fighter, he made strategic errors that weakened the Biafra struggle and harmed Igbo society. That's what he said. Now, one, he said, departure from IPOB's founding vision. IPOB, originally founded by Dr. Dozie Ikedife and others for a long-term diplomatic struggle, lost its diplomatic focus under Kanu. Instead, it embraced inflammatory rhetoric and was eventually banned and tagged a terrorist group. 2, he wrote, failure to build political leverage. At IPOB's peak, that is when at their greatest moment, that was 2016 to 2018, Kanu rejected calls to transform the movement into a political party that could influence the National Assembly and push for a referendum. Instead, the movement stagnated and only created ghost towns in parts of Igbo land. So this person is complaining. Remember, after his complaint, somebody responded to him in voice notes, which I would like you to also hear. And you deduce from what you hear. Now, the third point this person is giving is, he said, extremist Biafra or nothing doctrine. Extremist Biafra or nothing doctrine. He said, Kanu's rigid all or nothing stance radicalized followers, foreclosed compromise, and fueled violence in Igbo land, similar to Ojukwu's uncompromising but later abandoned posture during the Civil War. Number 4 point this person gave, it's only 5 points summarized. Now here's the number 4, before we'll play the voice note for you. Number 4, he said, lack of intellectual blueprint. Unlike Ojukwu's Ahira Declaration that articulated Biafra's course, Kanu provided no structured document detailing IPOB's grievances or vision. The absence of such a manifesto left the movement dependent on rhetorics, not substance. Just like he's trying to say, they don't know where they are heading. If you have a blueprint, you know this is our focus, this is our target, this is what where we are heading. He said, Nnamdi Kanu lacks that. Now, in the 5th one, he said, loss of control to criminals. Kanu's rejection of political influence created a vacuum that criminals exploited. He said, IPOB become infiltrated by kidnappers, extortionists, and violent opportunists, turning a once intellectual movement into a violent, lawless enterprise now associated with figures like Simon Eber. So we're about concluding, then I'll play the voice note by the person who opposed what this guy said. Now, here's the conclusion. He said, what began as a diplomatic, intellectual pursuit for Igbo self-determination under Dr. Ikedife. Remember, he's trying to say Ikedife started IPOB. Me, I used to think it was started by Emeka Emekesiri. So it was for the first time I'm hearing that Dr. Ikedife started it. He said, Dr. Ikedife started it, then under Nkanu's leadership, descended into insecurity and chaos, weakening rather than advancing the Igbo cause. That Dr. Ikedife has reason why he started this. Started IPOB, and from all indication, this person is trying to say they have no plan to go the violent way. They wanted to pursue things politically, but Nnamdi Kanu came and, At least you've had his points. Now, the next thing you will hear is the response from the other person. Milo's Corner responded to this. The response is what we'll play to you. Remember, none of these are my opinions. Let me tell you, some Igbo people had this view, and some other people had another view. So see it like that. Now, the response.
Okay, the first point of this man, he says that diplomatic approach. Diplomatic approach in Africa. Let him show me one country in Africa that got independence through diplomatic approach. Dr. Ikedife, which he says formed the IPOB and was pursuing diplomatic approach. These are the old cargoes that is suffering from Biafran war shock. Therefore, you don't expect them to be radical enough against Nigeria because they're still feeling the shock of war. It is their children that will fight. Let me refer the young writer to Carthage. I know you know about Carthage. First Punic War, Amalek Kaba. He lost. He has a child. He said, hey, when you grow up, you have to avenge for your father. What is his grandson? Hannibal. Hannibal grew up, recruited army, and went across the Alps to destroy Roman Empire. Eventually, he failed there. But what I want to show here is the old cargoes don't go back to war because they're feeling the war shock. It is their children that will go back to war. Therefore, it is wrong for this young man to connect Nnamdi Kanu with the dossier Ikedife. Because dossier Ikedife is the old cargo. It's Amalek Kaba. Nnamdi Kanu is Hannibal. Now, let me bring it home because that is European history. South Sudan, Ayanya 1 in South Sudan from 1950s to 1970. Ayanya 2 from 1980 to 2000, in which South Sudan got their independence. Okay? Eritrea, War of Independence, 30 years of War of Independence. Eventually, they got their independence. What I'm saying is, there is no country in Africa where you use diplomatic means to get independence. So what I suspected dossier Ikedife was doing was preparing the ground for the future, which is in Nnamdi Kanu them, is the future. He was not preparing the ground for himself, just like I showed you in terms of Amalek Kaba and Hannibal. Okay, Amalek Kaba fought the first one, then lost, kept quiet, and grew his son to fight the second one. European theater, First World War, in which German lost. Hitler, who is from Austria, said, hey, German can never lose to these Europeans. He organized German again and come back in Second World War. The devastating effect of Second World War made Europeans to understand that they have to respect and treat Germans well. Otherwise, German will rise up again. Now you have the East and West Germany united, and the potential for German to rise again is very high because of their technical prowess. So it's very important in this point. So the diplomatic approach of Dr. Dozier Ikedife is preparing the ground. Political party. Well, the APOGA, he said that Nnamdi Kanu should have formed political party. The APOGA Ojukwu formed. How did you fare? How many states and how many local government did you win election in? In a country where election is not conducted. See, the writer is still in this self-denial. Go and do election. Go and vote. Well, the writer wins 2 votes. You win 100 votes. He will change the paper and say, go to court. I won. That is where you're telling Nnamdi to form political party. So the question I'm asking you, the APOGA, which is Ojukwu and Nnamdi Kanu, who has more weight? The APOGA that Ojukwu formed, how many local government are you winning in election? The one that you winning in Anambra is a rigged election. If right election is done there, it will be another party that will win. So I don't know why you keep on sticking your head in the wrong direction. We already seen Ojukwu's party. Then you want Nnamdi Kanu to repeat the same thing Ojukwu have done and didn't succeed. Nnamdi Kanu and Ojukwu, who is bigger? Nnamdi Kanu is talking about Biafra. Ojukwu fought Biafra, formed a political party, ran under that political party and didn't even win in his ward. Because in Nigeria, election is not done. That mentality will have worked if Nnamdi Kanu was in Europe, not in Africa. The writer wrongly said that Ojukwu did not compromise. That Ojukwu said Biafra or no Biafra. That's a lie. Ojukwu went to Aburi and agreed on Aburi. It's a compromise in Aburi. If we want, I will sing to him what we were singing in Biafra then. Go on in so Omo Biafra, let them quickera na Aburi. So Ojukwu softed. Aburi, we stand. That was the slogan in Biafra. It was the throwing of Aburi Accord into the trash that resulted to Biafran war. So it is wrong for somebody to come and write and say that Ojukwu was in hard stand. Ojukwu was not in hard stand. Ojukwu compromise. He gave something to gain something. That is how Aburi Accord was reached. Now, Nnamdi Kanu realizing that this is Africa, that agreements are not honored or respected in two circumstances. Aburi Accord, the second one, the 3R, no victor, no vanquish. The 3 R's, and no victor, no vanquish. These are the agreements with the Biafran people by the federal government of Nigeria, and that was not honored. So what you have was, you want a new person to believe that if he enters into agreement with the Nigerian federal government, they will honor it. That is being naive. It's political naivety. So this young man called Nnamdi Kanu is operating on history. That is why it's very important you know history so that you don't repeat it. You claim that Ojukwu didn't compromise with the federal government of Nigeria. You are lying. Because if that is the case, somebody will ask you, what is Aburi? What is Aburi? Biafrans were saying, Aburi will stand. Go on. It's wrong to say that. What of the 3 R's? What of the no victor, no vanquish? So you want Nnamdi Kanu to follow the footstep, knowing very well that African government doesn't accept agreements. Okay? Another point the writer made is that the absence of intellectual document like Ahera Declaration, that Ojukwu wrote Ahera Declaration and explained to the Igbos why he did Biafra. That's nonsense. The Igbos know that they are marginalized in Nigeria. The Igbos knows that the federal government does not allow them to rule Nigeria. The Igbos knows that the things that they're supposed to build in the East, WAF, airport, international airport, and other institutions of the federal government is not coming to their place. That was not the case during Ojukwu time. Remember, during Ojukwu period, there was federalism in Nigeria, Eastern Nigeria, Midwestern Nigeria, Western Nigeria, and Northern Nigeria. And therefore, you have to explain to Igbos why you want to get out of Nigeria. And that explanation was not much difficult then because there was Igbo massacre. As a matter of fact, Ojukwu was telling the Igbos there is no need for war. It was the Biafrans that was singing, Ojukwu, we want to war. Ojukwu, we want to war. Eventually, they start accusing Ojukwu that because his father owns houses all over northern Nigeria and Lagos, that's why he's dragging his feet to declare Biafra. They wanted to mob Ojukwu because they say Ojukwu was too slow to act, because Ojukwu was telling them that the war is difficult. Okay, so it is wrong to come and say Nnamdi Kanu have no intellectual paper. No, this time you don't need paper like Ahera Declaration. You have Facebook, you have internet, you have WhatsApp, you have YouTube to deliver your message straight to the crowd, and that's what Nnamdi Kanu did. That is why you have all the Igbos following him. If you come out in Igbo land openly, even though you are hiding, writing, come out openly and talk bad about Nnamdi Kanu, you see mob lead you to death. The mob is doing that because his message in the Radio Biafra is reaching everybody. Ojukwu did not have Radio Biafra to reach everybody. Radio Biafra is reaching all over the world. Biafran IPOB have offices all over the world, or quasi-embassy all over the world. Biafra did not have that in 1966. So you cannot compare the pamphlet of Ahera Declaration to the work Nnamdi Kanu have done in terms of broadcast with Radio Biafra and having embassies all over the world. You go to everywhere in the world, IPOB is marching, demonstrating, and flying Biafran flag. It is only you that is not seeing that. The fourth one is that, the final one is that Nnamdi Kanu did not allow politicians to hijack the IPOB movement. But now he has allowed criminals to hijack it. He mentions Simon Ekpa. He mentions the other ones. That's what you think. You think they're criminals. You are delusional by thinking that those people are criminals. They will determine your future. Let me tell you right now, just like most of you in Nigeria, sending your child to private school. The one that will determine that place your child is living is those one that is going to public school. Remember in Nigeria, conscious writer, you have all this education, you have Fulani that didn't go to school. Fulani that is rearing cows, your president all the time. That's what's going to happen. These ones you calling criminals is the one that will determine your future, whether you like it or not. You talked about, oh, they have done Biafra. What have they achieved? It took Vietnam 1,000 years to get rid of Chinese choke on their neck. It took Spain 700 years to get Islam out of their place. And your own, you want it for 2 weeks because you're an Igbo man, you don't like to work. You want everything quick. Small time now, you start, either you sell drugs or you sell kidney or you kidnap so that you get rich quick. In conclusion, there is no shortcut to Onitsha, according to Igbo proverb. Okay? You can be a slave, but the only way a slave can be free is by any means necessary. It's up to Nigerian Federation to decide what they want. The only way a slave can be free is he has to be free by any means necessary. That's the only way a slave can be free. All these follow political way. You don't have politics in Nigeria, where you rig election and change papers, where the court rule rubbish. Is that what you want somebody who is sensible to follow? Must be out of your mind.
Well, viewers, you have seen it. There is nothing to add. These are two opposing views. The first one was criticizing Nnamdi Kanu and how he's handling the Biafran issue. And the second one was replying the first one. Deduce from what you hear. These are not my opinions. Add your comment on the comment section. The presentation includes views from a written article and a voice message. These views do not represent Igbo Area TV. We present them only for public awareness and do not endorse violence or unlawful actions.